What is going on, sports card fiends? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day, and today we are here with a video on stock up, stock down after the Usmnt's 2-0 victory versus Jamaica last night. Pretty good game overall. I was, as most people were, probably a little nervous after the first half given our recent history in World Cup qualifiers. Luckily, we were able to turn it around at the beginning of the second half and then continue that going forward with Ricardo Pepe's 2-goal performance that I'm sure will continue to chug along the hype train and keep those prices high for the MLS product that has continually just kept getting pushed out onto the market. So, great times out here, and I'm excited to get into the stock up and stock down. So to start, my first stock up is going to be Eunice Musa. I'm going to do this in order of who impressed me the most to least, and Eunice Musa was very impressive. I mean, it's exactly what we need in midfield, to be honest. We have troubles being able to actually have someone that can progress the ball forward because Tyler Adams is obviously our 6 and more defensive and just trying to make the game flow. And so you don't really have him as an option to, press the advantage forward and really kind of disalign an opponent. But with McKennie as well, you don't get the same consistency on ball. He's not someone that I necessarily feel comfortable can just sort of keep the ball at his feet and keep a defense guessing. He does have a lot of good attributes, but I'd say in possession it isn't really one of them. So to have Eunice Musa play the way he did last night, where you almost just feel like he's never going to lose the ball, that is just utterly important to our team because we don't have that in midfield. We don't have that controlling presence, and we've been looking for that, and Eunice Musa hasn't played for us since the friendlies earlier in the year, and so I've always just been dearly hoping that Greg sees it. And so honestly, I was impressed that we even got to see a midfield of Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, and Eunice Musa. I thought Greg was gonna maybe throw out Leggett, and so I'm glad we didn't have to see it. I'm glad that Eunice Musa showed up, and he really spurred that first goal for Ricardo Pepe by just having that great attacking play and then leaving it off to Dest on the right, and then Dest whips in the cross, and Pepe gets a good header on it, and it's 1-0, and it really spurred on by Eunice Musa, and that was only part of his impact on the game, but overall I was very impressed. My second stock up, and this is a big one for a substitute, was Timothy Waya. Personally, I'm a big Timothy Waya fan, so I'll put that out there. Maybe I'm biased, but in the 30 minutes that he was on, just every single time he got the ball, there was an attack to be made. There was electricity in the air. He was just flowing and just endlessly dangerous. And that's what you need. Like, that's what we were missing with Paul Arriola. Honestly, I was pretty shocked. So I'll say I was shocked when I saw Paul Arriola starting over Tim Waya, but I also wasn't shocked because it's Greg Berhalter, and I've grown to expect these things. So, it's a battle, but I think that in this game, Timothy Waya did so much more in his 30 minutes than Paul Arriola did, and I understand that there has to be a couple veterans out there on the team, but when Waya looks that much better, does there really need to be a couple veterans? Because honestly, Arriola just didn't look clean the entire game. I was never really all too impressed. Waya's been in really good form for Lille, so this isn't anything shocking. However, he just has never really been healthy and proven this at the USMNT level. So going into these next few windows, it's really an opportunity for him. And given that we are missing Reyna and Pulisic, this is a prime opportunity. So I was hoping he'd start, but now I'm kind of optimistic he'll get the next 2 games to start, but we'll see. Next stock up is Ricardo Pepe. I have to put him in stock up for the 2 goals. I mean, there's really no other way about it. Just back-to-back games with just all the goal involvements. I believe the last 6 goals for the USMNT, he's been involved in all of them. And so, for that reason, how am I going to leave him off? I will say that before the goal happened, before the 2 goals happened, his impact on the game was very, very minimal, and it was an example of what I've been seeing with basically any striker that we have in that first half, which is, Pepe, he had to drop back in a couple times, and he got a few touches that way, but when he dropped back in, he didn't really actually even look that good on ball, and so he didn't have a lot of opportunities in the first half, and really it's kind of invisible, but that's not really his fault. It's more so down to the fact that we couldn't really get anything going. Honestly, in the first half, Jamaica had more clear-cut chances than we did. And so I'm impressed. You know, you get 2 goal-scoring opportunities, you convert them. I am impressed. However, just the overall impact on the game was, I'll say, somewhat minimal compared to what you would think if you looked at the stat line. However, you know, I'm just happy to have a striker that scores goals, so I'll take it. Next up in the stock up is Serginho Dest. Had a really good game for us. The first half at the beginning was a little iffy, but beyond that, I mean, just really impressive. Really took control of the second half and was just constantly pressing their back line and whipping in a lot of good crosses, honestly. It is nice to have Pepe in there, at least someone to be on the end of the crosses. I like the idea of the crosses by Dest, and if it's, you know, if it fits into the run of play, it's even better. But just naturally, the idea of whipping in crosses into our box, I'm not a massive fan of, because you got Brendan Aronson in there, which I don't think he's going to get on the end of much. I do think that Pepe can, but then beyond that, in our midfield, I don't think Eunice Musa will be there too much. Maybe McKennie, but it's kind of hopeful. So, you know, overall, I liked it. I was a little bit cautious about all of the crosses that we were throwing on in there, but at the end of the day, it worked out, so I'll definitely take it. He looked clean on ball. I mean, you know, there's always going to be a time or two where Dest just challenges people for too long or too many attempts at challenging people, but you know, that's kind of the give and the take with him. That's where you'll find the brilliance in his game, and so I can't really be upset with it either way. And with Dest, we've been waiting for him to, you know, actually look good in a CONCACAF game, and I'd say that this was that game. So hopefully it's a sign of what is to come and not just a one-off, but we'll have to see about that. And then the final stock up is going to be Tyler Adams. I thought he had a really, really good game. And just, again, another example of why we need him at that 6 so dearly. Even more so because our depth there is pretty horrid. So, I mean, just so safe at the back line. This was a game where we didn't really have the center back pairing that we would have wanted to in Walker Zimmerman and Miles Robinson, and they didn't look as comfortable passing and really just flowing through our offense and allowing the field to shift and just really keep the defense guessing. They weren't really that convincing, so Tyler Adams had to drop back in and do a lot more of that, and he did it without any problems, and just always breaking up counters, and basically wherever you need him, he can be, and he can offer his abilities and at a really high level. And that's what we saw yet again. This isn't really even as much of a stock up. Like, I'm not going to go out and buy Tyler Adams cards, and I'm not, you know, suddenly changing my opinion on him. I guess it's more so just a pat on the back for what is consistent performances and just always being that utility that we need in the team. And then really the only stock down I have for this game is Paul Arriola, and I don't even really rate him that highly anyway, so it's not even really a stock down. But just given the winger options that we have, I'm a little frustrated that we did have to see him start. Maybe it's for some sort of rotation thing with Berhalter. I'm not really sure what the plan is there, but when you have Waya and when you didn't even call in Conrad, but you could have had Conrad de la Fuente in too, and we have to watch Paul Arriola just struggle. Never really takes anyone on. I mean, maybe if you just want him to filter the ball back to our right back or center back, he was really good at that. But, you know, beyond that, he never really forced any issue. He never really had clean touches and clean passes. Honestly, like, I was pretty disappointed in a lot of his game tonight. And so to see the stark difference whenever Waya came on, it means in my eye that Arriola has to have a stock down. And hopefully in Greg Berhalter's eyes, that's the same. We'll see if that's the case. I'm not certain, but I find it hard to believe that you wouldn't. But that is going to be it for the stock up and stock down for this game versus Jamaica. Would love to hear who you guys are impressed by and who you weren't impressed by in the comments down below. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe. Also leave a like if you enjoyed it. But with that said, hopefully you guys have a wonderful day and peace.